Hey everybody, welcome to the video, welcome to the channel. My name is Mike. Today we're out at the YouTube yacht project. Got a bunch of this mess I want to get cleaned up. I want to try to use the forks that I just fabricated up in the previous video to get some of these rocks moved up top to the parking area. Maybe some of this mess cleaned up. Some of these trees cut down and burnt up and cleaned up as well. Definitely this mess cleaned up. That's just gotten out of hand. And maybe some of that. These are the homemade forks we made. Quick attach forks I fabbed up in the last video for the tractor. Got a few more little things I need to do on these before I put them into heavy use. So we're gonna come back up here and do some welding on this in just a minute too. Step one is going to be get this stuff up and going, burning. We're going to burn it right here because there's really nothing above it. It's a good spot. These are the fire starters Chelsea makes. I'll show you those in just a second. They work really well. So they're just cardboard egg cartons, cheap candles we buy at yard sales. You know, like those decorative candles, not like the smelly good ones, but the big ones that people put in centerpieces they never actually burn. You can give her like 50 cents a piece and you can make a couple dozen of these. And then there's some dryer lint mixed in there too. We take these on campouts. They're great. You can break them up individually or you can just burn the whole thing, which is probably what we're going to do today since everything's so wet. That already looks so much nicer. Fire's burning good and hot. There's obviously still quite a bit down on the ground that we need to get on the fire. But we've got forks and a tractor to do that. I sure would like to incorporate that. No sense of carrying it all that way that we can throw it on the forks and dump it. Let's go get that welding done so we can put those forks to good use. And try not to burn the tractor down today. It's like a goal every time, honestly. I gotta add a piece here. Nothing to brag about here, but it's on there. I'm okay with that. Well, kinda. It is what it is. A little grinder, a little paint. Somebody suggested putting a hook on here, and I just happen to have one laying in the toolbox in there. So let's get that hook on real quick. Then we'll get this side knocked out. Then we'll go move some bigger things on the fire. So now I got this side on. We got these ends boxed in for the quick attach, got the hook on. Did a couple passes. Ugly, but hopefully strong. That'd be good enough to get some work done today. So we're going to start out pretty light with just some brush. And this is honestly what we'll use these forks for. I'd say 90% of the time. Just clearing brush around the property and getting it to a burn pile. We have a lot of tree of heaven we need to get rid of, cut down, burn. We have a lot of dead ash trees we need to cut down, pile up, and burn. And we just need a more effective way to get more material over to the fire, just less trips. Now, typically what I used to use is the bucket, which, I mean, it worked, but you always had to cut it into a size that would fit in the bucket. You don't have to make as many cuts this way. I mean, I knew it was going to be handier. I knew it was going to be a faster method, but I think I greatly underestimated how convenient it was going to be. So right off the bat, we're doing the light stuff, and it's going really well. Now, we typically only do this type of work in the summertime when it's super dry out or when it's really frozen. This plateau, this flat area in our land, it just holds water like crazy. And if it's not completely frozen or completely dry in the middle of like a drought, well, it becomes pretty soupy pretty quick. And it's no match for the good old turf tires, as much as I love those turf tires. But honestly, I'm not sure tires type would have really mattered here if your tires can't touch the ground because you're pushing mud with the axle and you're sitting on the belly pan. I don't know that the tire tread actually makes a difference. I do plan on putting new tires on this at some point. I was hoping to have enough money to buy some this winter. I'm going to put some VersaTurfs on. That's what I want to go with. Some R1s would be really great out here in the woods, but we do use this in the field and on our lawn quite a bit, so I hate to put R1s on there. They would tear it up pretty good for the lawn aspect. And I have a theory on why R4s are on compact utility tractors, but I'm not a fan of R4 tires, especially for this type of work. So I think the VersaTurfs are what we're going to end up going with. Until then, I just kind of, got to deal with what we deal with. It is what it is. I don't think we're going that way anymore. Now, a lot of people made the comment whenever I fabbed up this frame for the quick attach that I kind of wasted my time, that they make quick attach plates that you can just weld and play. And I'm well aware of that. That's actually what we used on the back of the loader bucket. Neil Kof from Neil Kof Dig Drive DIY was nice enough to fab that up on the loader bucket for me. He's the one that actually put the quick attach brackets on the 755. You can see a sticker there. But I wasn't sure how to make that plate work on the back of the forks that were there. We would have had to done quite a bit of spacers. And since I knew I was going to have to kind of modify a quick attach plate if I ordered one, I figured might as well just make one from scratch. It really wasn't that big a deal. Anyway, I'm going to back drag some of this stone. We'll throw the forks back on real quick because we can now. And we'll try it on some logs and see how it does on something a little bit heavier.
So most of you know I have the log arch, and if I've got longer trees, I'll use that log arch so that I can get longer trees down the trails. But I've got a few, I'd say these are probably 8 or 10 foot sections, and that's probably, see, there you go, I smack a tree. That's about the maximum width I can get down the trail before I start getting caught up on trees and stumps. Then we'll put them over here in the firewood pile. They handled that pretty easy. Then I don't even really have counterweight on the back. I've got that auger, but it doesn't really weigh all that much. Honestly, if I was going to do heavy lifting, I'd probably put the pulverizer on the back. That's a pretty heavy implement, a couple 100 pounds. And I may long-term make a counterweight that fits onto the log winch itself. That log winch has that belly pin, and I might be able to make one for there. That's an oak log. It was a little bit heavier. You saw it got a little bit light on the back end, but not too bad. A lot of this stuff is just, it's in an awkward spot I can't really get the tractor into, so we're just gonna do that by hand. It's not like it's that far away. The fire's just rocking, which is good. Really starting to look good in that section. Pretty much just some bigger stuff I'm gonna have to pull out with the tractor. A couple of these little dead topless figures here. Go ahead and get rid of those. I'm sitting here looking at this guy right here. That's an invasive species, tree of heaven. We've got them all over the property, but when we find them, we try to cut them down and get rid of them as we've got the time to do so. But that one's got a pretty good lean this way. Wouldn't it be fun to just, while we're here, you know? So here's a shot looking back so you can kind of see what the back of the tractor's doing while I'm carrying these logs. It's a little light, it's a little floaty, but it's not uncomfortable. It's not any more light or floaty than if I'm moving stone or anything with the bucket. I mean, the tires are still on the ground for the most part. And like I said, if I put a little bit heavier implement back there, it'd be even more comfortable. But overall, the tractor really handled it pretty well. That 70A loader is what they recommend for the 755 and for the 855 as well. I think you're supposed to go up one loader size for the 955. Good enough to round that. With the exception of that little fella there, we'll drag that out with the tractor tomorrow. We've got this how it's gonna be. This is all just gonna be woods, and then we're gonna put rocks around the border of the parking area. We're not gonna mow or landscape any of this. Just kind of gonna be woods in there. But I want all the dead stuff. I want a decent looking woods, you know? I want it to look nice. I'll let this burn down for a couple hours. I'll come back and throw it in this evening. Oh yeah?
When I grow up, I am gonna be, do you know what I'm gonna be when I grow up?
What are you gonna be when you grow up?
I'm gonna be a firefighter who shoots out fire. And I'm gonna be at the same place as you when I grow up, and I'd be a firefighter.
You think so?
So I can see you.
I hope so. Be fun. Alright, let's get back to the house. Plenty of heat nap. That'll kick up here in just a minute. Maybe not even that long. Tractor's warming up over at the barn. About 20 degrees this morning. kind of nice. It gets rid of the mud for a little bit. I got the other GoPro out with me today too, the smaller one. You guys have the audio package on you, and I don't like sticking that under the tractor anymore because it's kind of pricey, at least for our setup it is. But I brought the other GoPro out, so basically I'm saying fair warning, I'm about to put you in harm's way. There's a couple things I want to get some shots of so I can see how they're acting on those forks.
I had a guy tell me last time I was using this, if you're not using the actual auger part, throw a ratchet strap on it. It'll keep it tucked up, keep it from flopping around. So we're gonna try that today. It already looks like it's gonna ride a little bit better back there. You really couldn't have a more awkward implement on the backside of a tractor to try to test out your new forks, but that's what we're doing. Fire's going great. Look at that. Okay. Hard hats and safety glasses. This is your warning. So I was trying to get a good shot of what that back plate was doing where the little attachment pins come through, but the camera got knocked over. Instead, we got a shot of the tire. Confirmed, it is round and it still does roll, so we got that going for us. And there's all the mason twine I've been looking for. So we are all the way around here. got a couple stumps and this dead tree here. Get that up and on the fire, and then we'll be ready to see if we can't start picking these rocks and getting up this hill. It's a little steep on this side, but we'll see how it does. So now we're moving on to the bigger rocks, that rock pile down at the bottom. And this could be a challenge for the machine for a couple different reasons. One, just the sheer weight of them, and two, it's sitting on that hill. So it's going to test the stability. And honestly, I figured I would move these with a 304 whenever I rent that from Dirt Perfect to run the utilities later this summer. But I really couldn't think of a better test for the tractor and the forks themselves. Now the 70A loader on the 755 is supposed to have around 700 pounds lifting. That's at the pins, which means that's going to be close to what it is once I actually get the rock to the back plate. And that's kind of the problem I'm having here, is getting it back to the back plate. There it goes. Once it's slid back like that, it doesn't have any trouble at all. Now we've talked about it. We plan on cutting some more steel out of the back plate. We don't need quite that much steel, so that'll help a little bit. But honestly, what we're seeing today, I think we're kind of maxing out what we're able to lift with it. Even if I put a counterweight on the back, there were several times where I'd lift these rocks up and it just flat out wouldn't lift it. Even with the rock all the way shoved up against the back plate, you can see on this one, this is a heavier rock I carried a little bit later. We're just kind of shoving it and I'm packing that rear wheel. So even with counterweight, even with some weight off that back plate, we're pretty much maxing out the lift capacity for this tractor, which it is only a 20 horse tractor. So I'm not going to be mad about it. These are pretty good sized rocks, honestly. And I was pretty well surprised that I could even get all of them up. I knew I'd get some of them, but I didn't think I'd get any of the bigger ones. There you can see I'm packing that tire again. We're just operating on 3 points of contact. Well, 4 points contact. 4 points if you count the loader. So there we go. Kind of starting to line the edge. We'll tweak them around as time goes on, but they're up here, which surprises me. So I got quite a bit of cedar tops and mess here. There's quite a bit of tree mess down around that bottom side. I'll show you where we're at with the tractor. I'll even jog slightly. A slight, brisk, slight jog complete. You can see the tractor. That's where we're worked to. That's awesome. So we're gonna keep coming on around up to there. There's the cedar tops. There's the fire. Let's just, when's the last time we've done a music time-lapse montage? Let's just do a quick time-lapse montage to work through that section. That was the rock that's sitting down by the septic system. I didn't think I'd actually be able to get it, so I didn't record the getting part of it, but it moved it. It was a little wobbly, but not terrible. Love these. I don't know how I lived without these before. The amount of work we've been able to do with a minimal amount of effort, it's crazy. And you know what? Call me crazy, but I'm in love with the single attachment point forks. I was gonna put a bracket on the back side of these that clipped in to keep those forks from hinging out. But I like them. I think they saved me a few times today, honestly. I think there were a few spots I would have ended up getting hung up or pinched on those rocks and not been able to get off without breaking something. I am gonna leave it like that. I honestly like them. I think it's just learning how to operate them like that. It's a little bit different, but yeah, I'm gonna keep it that way. Definitely need the headache rack on top. I think we're gonna come up probably about this tall with it. You see them all the time where they come over and across. I think that's probably for your line of sight into your fork. So I'm gonna have to pay attention to that. But the further over I can get them so that I can keep piling brush up. The biggest thing we're gonna be using these for is clearing stuff and moving stuff from, you know, a spot in the woods over the burn pile. So I think I'd like to make them kind of tall so I have quite a bit of capacity to really stack a whole bunch of brush on there. You know, you get all the limbs, you're not getting a lot of weight, you're just kind of getting volume. So something to stack a lot of that, I think that's gonna work great. But definitely wanna add those. The hook came in handy. I mean, I used it today, right off the bat. So definitely glad the hook's on there. And I'm still going to, we talked about it in the previous video. In fact, you can see the cuts. There's a cut there, there's a cut there, but I'm out of cutoff wheels. We're gonna cut big old chunks of this plate out. We don't need all of this steel for the actual strength of it. This thing's plenty strong. So we're gonna cut some big chunks of this plate out to get a little bit more weight off that. And we still gotta cut, there's like a 1/16 of an inch of clearance. It's not making contact, but it's close. Either way, I don't need this big beefy member back here either. So we're gonna cut quite a bit of that off too to take some weight off of it. I set out to test these forks today and push them to the limit and see if they're gonna be as handy as everybody said they're gonna be. And I cannot wait. The amount of work we're gonna be able to get done. It's not the amount of work that we can get done. We could always get the work done. It's the time frame we can get it in. This was maybe 6 hours total worth of work, maybe 8 hours total worth of work, spread out over a couple days, and it looks, I should probably show you. Toasted my tip a little bit. Looks like a marshmallow down there. It's not though, don't try it. This is what it looks like now on the top side. Now we're just talking about this. There's obviously still a lot of mess further out into the woods, but just in the proximity of the YouTube yacht itself. This guy right here, obviously, topless, has to go yet. And this guy right here is gonna go. I'll show you, he's not in great shape. But I'm not gonna do that with the lower Ryobi. We'll end up doing that with the 372 or one of the 55s probably. I got some of the lumber moved in here. And see all this cleaned up. It just looks nice. And I got some of this cleaned up. I gotta run back to the house. I ran out of trash bags. I got probably one more trash bag worth of stuff. These empty cans, good kick, bud. And get that picked up, and then that'll probably be it. I'm not sure, I kinda wanna save that, but I don't know what I would save it for. I need to find a good place to put it. Get that picked up, and then this will all be polished up. But it's definitely a huge improvement to what it was. Now, I think the rocks look cool. Like I said, we've got some more sitting around we can put in here, and then we'll jockey these around at some point. Be nice to have a couple more right there. Let's go look at the mast. I want to show you why it's not going to work for a log splitter. I don't think it will. I'm still looking for your suggestions on that, and why it's not going to work for a dump trailer. Those are the two main suggestions. So probably the number one suggestion
people made was make a log splitter out of it, which I love the idea of it. The only issue, or the main issue, is it only has fluid going in one side, and that's because it used the weight of the mast of the forks to bring all the fluid back out of it. So it's not power return. So it's only going to go out. Now I'm sure I could rig up 27 trampoline springs and make some kind of spring return that pulls it back, but I don't know if I want to go through that much effort on it. The other suggestion was for the dump trailer, but just the sheer size of it, how tall it is, I don't think it would work for that. And the other thing is it's actually two-stage. It has one board that comes out of this end. See the diameter of that? Relation to my fingers. And then I don't know if we'll be able to see it. We're not going to be able to see it the way it's sitting, but it actually comes back out the other end too. The cylinder pushes out both sides. If only I had some sort of fork device that could flip this over for you, but I'm just not feeling it. Anyway, it comes out the bottom as well. So I'm just not sure with that cylinder setup if I could use it for the dump trailer. We are going to build a dump trailer this winter. That's one of the projects we want to do. But I don't think this is going to be the cylinder for it. I think the best suggestion was to just take it off, throw it in the barn, protect it, and store it. Like the guy said, I'm never going to find another one of these for the price I paid for this one, so might as well save it. We'll be sure to come up with something for it someday. There were some really cool, unique suggestions. There was one guy, Small Engine Kid, he has a YouTube channel, a younger kid, but he said it would have been really cool if we left the back plate on here and put quick attach brackets on here and the forks, so we could still quick attach the forks back onto here and utilize it as a 3-point forklift if we wanted, because it has a heavier lifting capacity, or we could use it as forks on the front end loader. That's a pretty slick idea. That would have been pretty cool, but we are where we're at with it now. Anyway, plus I'm pretty set on using the rest of the steel for the road drag. It's just the perfect road drag steel. It's good and heavy, what you want in a road drag to really hold it down and pull the gravel well. That's what we're going to do with it. We're going to cut it up and use it for a road drag. The cylinder will save. I probably will save the 3-point end of it for something. I don't know. We'll figure something out. If you're going to start fabricating, you can't throw any metal away. You got to hold on to it. That's for sure. As far as what's next, we're going to head over to, I haven't decided yet. We're either going to rebuild the 55, tune the 372 and rebuild the 120, and then make a saw tree to organize all the chainsaws and get them all running. I ordered a little digital tachometer to help tune that 372. A lot of people suggested that, and I've got to rebuild those. I've got two 55s. I got to rebuild 2 of them into 1 so I can get all my gas saws up and running again. So I might do that. Or we might head over to the timber bridge, put the winch on the back of 755, and start trying to move some of those big rocks over there and working on the approach on the other side of the bridge. Now that we have forks, you put the winch on the back with the forks on the front, we're moving quite a bit of stuff. I think that might be fun. I'm gonna do one of those 2 things. I haven't decided yet. We'll just have to see the mood I wake up in. I hope you guys are having a good whatever it is you're having. I hope you're enjoying the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.